And we're live. Hello and welcome into Tater Talks, the podcast where Tater Talks Gaming, content creation, sports, pop culture, current events, and whatever the hell we want. I'm your host, Devin, but most of you know me as Tater9. For those of you who don't know this side of me, I'm a variety content creator who streams 4 days a week right here on Twitch and posts video games to YouTube, including the podcast and highlight videos. My guest tonight is a man who's been featured on the stream many times. You've seen him on the Sticks versus PC players in COD and doing some insane aerials in Rocket League. The man who will fight an old man on Facebook, or an old lady, on Facebook over LeBron or Taylor Swift for some completely opposite reasons. The military man himself, SSGBuckets, or better known as James. Welcome in, sir. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. And for the record, I would also fight an old man. I don't care.
No preference.
Either way.
No preference. Yep. I like it. Well, the only thing that I botched on the intro was that and screwing up the song. So, hey, we're doing already better than last week.
We're crushing it.
We're just killing it already. What's going on? So I think everybody wants to know, and this is probably a life or death question right now, to be honest. Did you make yourself into an avatar on Facebook? Be honest.
I did not.
Did not.
I didn't even look at it.
I don't believe you.
I thought about it, but I've just been, so busy with everything that I can do in life right now. So
right, just
absolutely haven't had time,
Uncontrollable fun. That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
If they would have had an MJ jersey, though, you would have.
Well, obviously, yeah, I would have got an email before it was released for the beta. Yeah.
Get a little email from Zuck,
Yeah.
Like,
cool
hey,
like that.
We got these parameters that we're putting in.
Mm-hmm.
Got any suggestions?
Mm-hmm. Just always Jordan.
23, not 45, right?
23, not 45.
Right. We've actually, I don't know if you watched the whole thing. We watched some of it. The Last Dance, the 10-part documentary series on Michael Jordan. It's actually really good. At least for what we've seen. I've only seen up to 8. I don't know how far you are into it.
I'm also through 8. And I have 9 and 10 recorded. And honestly, I don't want to watch it again. Because I know it's going to end. And I'm not ready emotionally for that.
Not ready to handle it emotionally again, you mean?
Yeah, it's too soon. It's only been 22 years.
It's only been 22 years. That's right. Yeah. Quick maths.
Mm-hmm.
Quick maths. That was really, really compelling story. I don't know how long we'll talk about Michael Jordan here, but I did want to at least mention him because you're a huge fan of him. You grew up in the time when that came out, so obviously a major starting point to, what you would kind of like as an adult. I don't know, like even as a kid,
Yeah.
The documentary itself, I felt, does a really good job of showing some things that maybe people did know, but then also things that people didn't realize.
Yeah, I mean, for a documentary, they stayed more neutral, I'd say, than a lot of other documentaries do, as far as playing to people's strengths or weaknesses.
Right.
Because I had even forgotten about all the gambling accusations and all that stuff they hit him with and stuff. And it if they kind of talked about if they accused somebody of gambling now, it wouldn't be anything compared to everything else that gets put on. And so nobody remembers that stuff because it wasn't a big deal now.
Right. It was it wasn't that close to Pete Rose, but I mean, it was still within the same general area of
Yeah, that's because that's the only major athlete that, got cited for gambling or whatever. So that's always a comparison. But
right. And now Pete Rose is free. Yeah. Nobody even cares anymore. Right? Nobody even knows who that is. It's not even relevant. Probably wouldn't even hear about Pete Rose in a history book or anything like that.
No, yeah, he's on the MLB network doing stuff. He's just some other guy with a bad haircut.
Right.
He used to be good at baseball.
Classic. Time heals all wounds, as they say. And
it really does.
I think that's a fact. Mm-hmm. Did you watch the Tiger King too? You watched Tiger King, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
In 2 days, burned through that thing.
I only bring that up because we were kind of talking about documentaries, and I think that there's no comparison. The Last Dance is a million times better than Tiger King.
Oh, sure.
And I also think that hashtag not an ad, but but could be. Technically, we have no sponsors right now, but your sponsorship would go right here. Hang on, right there. Yep, which is the bottom left of the screen. So, hey, hit me up, somebody.
Got room.
We got room. That's right.
Just waiting.
But if you have HBO, or if you know somebody and you use their password or whatever, listen to McMillion or watch McMillions, because McMillions is about this like crazy thing that was going on with the McDonald's and the the Monopoly pieces that were going out, and the whole thing was rigged for like 3 years because this dude was stealing them and like giving them out to family members.
Oh my gosh.
So I always think of like, yeah.
But why I never got Broadway.
Serious though, who actually like had a piece that made you actually win like the $1 million on that? Nobody did.
Nope. Just a whole bunch of egg sandwiches.
Exactly.
It's not the same thing.
But I would say, if you're looking at a tier list, Last Dance, I haven't even finished Last Dance, and I'm putting it at the top there. And then McMillions, and then Tiger King. Tiger King was not very good.
Yeah. It's not, but like it's kind of like that train wreck, thing that like you just can't look away from
Right.
it. It's just, and they did, like, I will get, like, they edited it very well. Like it keeps you hooked the entire time on something that you really don't even care about.
Right.
It's like you don't have any emotional connection to any of these characters because they're all so fanatical. You're not even rooting for any of them because they're all pretty much terrible people. Yeah. But it's amazing.
Yeah, the content really just wrote itself in that, and there was no.
Yeah.
You didn't need to do anything with it. They could just record it and then just call it good.
Yeah, they could have just put that all out, all the hours of footage that they had, and people still would have watched it.
Just put it right in order. I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
Then? Who cares? Well, I hit Andrew with this to start off the show last week, and I'm going to hit you with it here now as well. Give me your most hated screen name that you've ever had. The one that you regret the most, excuse me. The one that you regret the most.
I even listened to you tell him this, and I couldn't think of my old ones. I think I was, and I think this is still my Twitter handle, but JDZ 25. That was, and I'm gonna age myself a little bit here too. That was my MSN Messenger handle too, back in the day.
What even is MSN Messenger? Who even remembers what that is?
I don't have time to. If you take text messaging, put it on a PC, and give it the speed of dial-up, that's what it is.
It's like, bro, I remember in like middle school. Well, at least it was middle school for me. It was always like, bro, what's your aim? Let's talk on aim.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't even know. I could never figure it out though. Could never figure it out.
No, I was pretty high tech back in the day.
Pretty high tech. You got some major followers in the chat. This is streamed live on twitch.tv/TaterBoy09, so make sure that you follow that channel. Shout out to everybody in the stream here right now. I will not ignore everybody for an hour, Mr. Phoenix. But appreciate you guys hanging out. Hope you guys are having a good time. It is free to make an account on here, so hit that follow button. It's that big heart on your screen. And hit the notification so you know when I go live. That's my little plug right there.
I like it.
I had to, because I didn't want Phoenix to be yelling at me in the chat the whole time. Because,
Yeah.
He loves me. He loves me too much.
He's
He's
like that.
one of my number one fans, so, it is what it is.
One of the groupies.
One of the groupies, that's right. One of the groupies. No, seriously, guys, thank you for hanging out in chat. Appreciate y'all. Hope you're having a good time. So I do want to also mention your current one, which you basically just use SSGBuckets all the time.
Yep.
And that's your go-to. I mean, unless creating Smurf accounts on Rocket League.
Yeah.
Because you gotta match our MMR, which is probably messed up as it is now. Because
I was gonna say it's about high enough. I've run the life of that Smurf out. I'm just like 2 or 3 levels below right now, so.
That's what happens.
Back to using all my cool cars.
Yeah, that's what happens. Your Smurf becomes your main eventually, and then you got to create another Smurf, and that's gonna be
just a lot of work. It's a lot of passwords to remember.
just a whole thing. Right. Too many emails I'm finding out too. For every Twitch account that you create, you have to have a separate email.
Right.
And for like every YouTube channel that you want to do, it has to be a separate email.
Yeah. Well, on the Xbox, like if you don't log into the account within like I think like 5 days, you have to put the password back in. And then if you don't remember that, you have to remember the email password that you made up for the email that you made up, and it's just a black hole of passwords you never climb out of.
Right. There's not enough paper in the world to write that down on.
No.
Not enough phone space or whatever, SSDs to.
Yeah.
Whatever they're called, I forget. I'm not very smart sometimes, but that's okay. Anyways, so SSG and buckets. So those are your two favorite things, right? The military and basketball.
I don't know if they're my favorites. It's probably the two things that consume the most of my life. I'll say that. The military is my favorite usually when I'm not doing it, and then it's my least favorite while I'm doing it.
That's pretty standard, right? A lot of people would say that.
A lot of military people would say variations of the same thing there. Yeah.
Very nice. So, why don't you tell everybody exactly like what your title and like what part of the military you're in and stuff like that?
Yeah. So the SSG is for Staff Sergeant. I'm a Staff Sergeant in the Nebraska National Guard. Been on like 13 years. I'm in what's called a forward support company. So we move items that combat people would need to them. So we just chill out, wait for a call, and then run ammunition and food and whatever's back and forth.
That makes a lot more sense from some of the past stories that you told me.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that specifically you would, you're just like, as someone says in chat, Blake says in chat, 2 men in a truck for the military.
Yep. You're nailing it. And I'm always the guy that's not driving.
And so basically to sum it up, what you always make fun of it as like middle management for like the Nebraska National Guard.
Yeah. So yeah, like the Staff Sergeant is like it's an E6. And there's 9 enlisted ranks. So the first 4 are really easy to get, and then the last 5 are a little bit more difficult. But I'm the highest ranking person usually that's out doing stuff, and then everyone who outranks me is back in an office. So they tell me what to do, I tell the soldiers how to do it, and then help them do it. And then while I'm doing it, I get told by the people who are back in the office how to do it differently. And then when we get back, we talk about what we did, how we did it, and how to do it again. And then we write some reports on that. And then we do the same thing tomorrow.
It definitely sounds like a lot of paperwork, that's for sure.
It really is.
Too much.
You think we would have figured it out better by now, but
so you don't have like written rules for everything that you have to move, or
we call them like SOPs. They're like standard procedures. So the Army tries to take out any risk that may or may not happen. So they anything from how to drive a truck to how to tie your boots. I'll tell you the safest, the best way to how to do it.
That's incredible. So there's like an actual step-by-step, like 10 different steps of how to tie your boots.
Well, I don't know if there's actually written on paper, but when I was at basic training, they told us that the laces had to be left over right. So we were all uniform. And then I was the only person that didn't have to relace my boots because mine were already like that. And because they were already like that, the drill sergeants got mad at me, and I had to do push-ups while everyone else fixed their boots. Just because I'm mildly OCD, and I always put my laces like that.
So it's just classic basic. That's basically what basic training is in a nutshell, right?
Yeah, it's like you lose for being ahead, and you lose for being behind. So you want to stay right in the middle. That's the safest spot.
Right in the middle somewhere. Very nice. Very nice. So you said 13 years you've been in the military. So when do you remember your exact start date?
August 14th, 2006.
So you're coming up on 14 years pretty soon.
Yeah. yeah, getting right there.
So yeah, you better be middle management by then, or else
Yeah, I know.
who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Got to work towards something. Am I right?
Yeah.
So did you?
Working towards retirement.
What isn't retirement 20 years, or is it
Yeah, you
25?
can retire after 20. You get some of the benefits right away, but you don't get most of them until I think you hit 60 and stuff. But
Oh, age 60. I was like 60 years in the
yeah.
military.
No,
What?
yeah, sorry, yeah, age 60.
They just like keep some money in a savings account for you or something.
It's actually they pay out pretty decent. It's like a half retirement, which is pretty good for like a full time job and
Oh, dang.
insurance and all the other like little army perks,
No.
like flying for free and all that jazz.
Oh, dang. Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's not bad if you can make it 20 years. It's worth it.
You might not know. You might not know the numbers offhand, but do you know like generally an idea of what the like what when do people leave the most? Like you start and you're like, okay, here we go. Is it like right after basic? They're like, I'm done, or is it halfway through basic? What is it? If you just had to
Well,
guess.
everyone signs an 8-year contract when they sign up, so it's always broken down. Like if you go like into the active army, you do like 3 years active, and then what's called 5 years inactive, where you're not in the army, but if something happens, they can call you back. In the National Guard, we do 6 years on the guard side, and we have 2 inactive after that. So there's a lot of people that like I'd say like that will sign up and not make it to basic. I bet you'll lose 50%
Oh,
doing that.
wow.
Yeah, because they've made this to where it's easier, where you can sign up and wait 12 months to go to basic. But for a 17, 18, 19-year-old, there's a lot of things that can happen in your life in 12 months that makes you change your mind about the military.
Yeah,
Or
for sure.
you break something, or something happens where you're no longer you drunk driving or all that jazz. There's a lot of reasons why the army will decide you are not worthy anymore too. So, but yeah, the people that make it to basic, I'd say probably 2/3 of them will run out their contract. They'll make it through, however many years that is.
Yeah, that's still not. I mean, that's still not bad, I guess.
Yeah,
All things considered. So
yeah. It's just like kind of any other job except that you're signing up for a number of years. Like if we worked at Allstate and they said, hey, you can work for us, but we need you for 6 years.
yeah, sign it up right away.
Yeah. So, no, thank you.
It's too long to be selling insurance.
Yeah, right.
Too long. So how old were you when you okay, let's go before that. So you are short little buckets, 16, 17 years old in high school or whatever, and you're saying I want to go to the military, or somebody convinces you, or you're drunk at prom and you talk to a recruiting officer and you think for some reason they think it's a good idea. Just in theory. I've never personally had that experience, but I know somebody who did.
Okay. I don't know how you heard that I was drunk at prom. I want names. But yeah, in high school I didn't like. My dad had served for like 22 years, and he had served like in the town like 40 minutes from where we grew up. So I knew a lot of the people that were in. And then at the end of it, he hated it because when you get to the end of your contract, they kind of throw you wherever they want. And he was just trying to get to his 20-year mark to be able to get out.
Yeah.
So I like my high school years, I didn't have a lot of good experience with the military. I was like, I'm not doing that crap because I see everything my dad's going through. So then my freshman year of college, I went off to play basketball at McCook Community College, which, is pretty cheap. And then my
huge
sophomore
town
year,
in Nebraska, by the way. Huge town.
Yeah. Big shout out to McCook there.
Yeah, shout out.
And then my second year, I went to Grace University in Omaha, which was a private school, and they did not do athletic scholarships. I was like, well, I can play basketball with you, but I can't pay for college. So my dad's like, well, you could join the military. I was like, well, that sounds like an easy thing to do, to pay for college. So I'll do that. I'll knock out 6 years, and by that time, I'll probably be a pro player, and I won't have to worry about anything.
So. Right, exactly. I mean, you're 20 years old. I mean, you're probably in ridiculously good shape if you're playing college basketball. So
yeah, I did very well with all the physical stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just happened that I liked it enough to keep signing up after that.
Liked it just that little bit.
Just enough, yeah.
Just enough there.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So it wasn't necessarily that you were in high school and there was like a recruiter talking to you. You did wait a few years until you actually
Yeah.
signed up.
Yeah, like there was a lot of kids that grow up and they're like, I want to, I want to be American hero. I want to go off to war and all that stuff. I was like, I want to play basketball my entire life. And then I was using the military to, pay for that.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of become more of a career than I ever thought it would be. So it just worked out.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would have been, you said 2006 is when you started. So that would have been after 9/11.
Yeah. So like the unit, like when you sign up, you gotta let you choose your job. So like you can be, an infantryman or all this stuff. And you, with the National Guard, you kind of have to choose a job where you're gonna go. So like in Lincoln, we have all sorts of different jobs you can do. Like I was out west and like by North Platte, and the only thing that they had there was transportation, like truck drivers. So it's like I'll just do that because they got a $20,000 bonus, which would be cool. So I can buy a car. And like they're deployed right now, so I'll join that unit, and then they're over in Iraq, and then they'll just come back, and I'll hang out with them, and they probably won't even get deployed again by the time I finish up my 6-year contract. So I'll just chill in North Platte, and everything will be fine. So that was my original plan.
$20,000 to sign up, bro. Where's the papers at? Get me.
I know.
Let's do this right now.
Yeah, that bought me a real nice Mitsubishi Eclipse that I immediately regretted.
For anyone who doesn't know, Western Nebraska is probably about 10 person per square mile.
Yeah.
And there's not much to do out
50
there.
50 cal per square mile.
50 cal per square mile, sure. All right.
Yeah.
We're already using military terms. Chad, are you guys writing this down?
Yeah.
Write all this stuff down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to do. And basically, once you get past... So, in Nebraska, there's 2 major towns, Lincoln and Omaha. And then after that, the biggest town is Memorial Stadium, which is in Lincoln, Nebraska, which is where the Nebraska Cornhuskers play. So, beyond that, there's not a whole lot going on. But... So that's why why he was saying, like, there wasn't as many jobs available there as there would have been, like, in Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
Just for full disclosure. But my dad had a Mitsubishi Eclipse, actually.
Yeah.
And if it snowed more than half an inch, it was done.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't get it out even
on gravel, it was tough not to just spin out and sit there. It was like a 5-speed manual, and it was just like a wheel drive in the back, and it was just weighed about 800 pounds. It just float on anything.
Right, I say those are probably rear wheel drive then.
Yeah, they were it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a lot of fun. Living your life quarter mile at a time.
Yeah.
Like that. Classic. Nice crack. That was a good one.
Thank you. Yeah.
Should have put it right up to your microphone, man.
I thought about it.
Just dive right in. Dive right in.
Mm-hmm.
So I did bring up. I was gonna ask you. I was always curious. My thought process around people wanting to join the military is they want to be, deployed. They want to go be overseas. The whole American hero thing that you just mentioned. Right. Would you think that 9/11, which is 9/11 2001, did you think that had anything to do with you wanting to, or was it just? I mean, it couldn't have been. You just want to pay for your college, right?
I mean,
maybe that was.
The main reason was joining for college. Like I was
sure.
I definitely wanted, to do my part and everything. Because actually, there was one day when I was deployed in Afghanistan where we were doing like an inventory, which was just the worst because we have so much crap We just have to count all of it every month to make sure we didn't lose it, so we don't have to pay for it.
Sure.
And we were missing some item, and one of the guys that outranked us was yelling at us, and he lined us all up, and he was just like, "Why the hell did you join the military?" And he's going down the list, and it's just like, I want to be a hero. I wanted to kill bad guys. I wanted to do my part. And he got to me, and I was like, I wanted to play basketball in college. And he just stared at me, and I was like, just do push-ups. I was like, all right, man.
It's not much argument on there.
Yeah.
Just let that one happen.
Yeah.
That's funny. So you were deployed?
Yeah. So the whole plan of serving out 6 years and just chilling didn't work out, because on year 3, I got a phone call saying that, hey, you're being transferred to another unit, and you're deploying to, well, they told me I was deploying to Iraq. That got changed. And then before he hung up, he said, oh, and by the way, I'd tell your brother because he's going with you. So I had to call my brother at 10:30 in the morning, wake him up, and tell him, was like, hey, we're going to a new unit, and also we're getting deployed. He's like, I'll let you know more when I find out. He's like, oh, okay. And then he went back to bed.
So your brother is in the same part?
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is.
Yeah, we joined the same unit in North Platte there.
Unit, got it.
Yeah, he joined like 9 months after I did. And then we got called up to, like, there's units, and then like battalions is the next level. So a unit has like 100 people, and a battalion has like 3 or 4 of those units, so like 400. So we got deployed with the same battalion, and I was in the Charlie unit, and he was in Alpha. So we went over together. We were just a little bit separated.
It's like the classic case of, I'm going to stick a pin to your chest, or, stick a note to you, take it home to your parents. It's for both of you and your brothers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that was a fun conversation, too. I went home for lunch that day. I was like, hey, Mom. She was like, oh, how was your day? I was like, well, I got some news, so you might want to sit down.
Yeah.
Because the first part's going to be shocking, and then the second part might put you on your ass a little bit here. So.
Because, that would have been 2009 then?
I got told in 2009, yeah, and then we deployed in 2010.
Gotcha. That was quick maths on my part.
Yeah, crushing it.
Quick maths. So, man, I would just started high school then, so I wasn't very big on the whole like politics thing. So I was there. So I know we were kind of like probably partially in a war at that time, but was it actually like happening? I don't know.
It was. There's a real. It's not a great movie, but it depicts what I did really well. Netflix came out with a movie. It's called War Machine with like Brad Pitt.
Oh, okay.
And it's about one of the generals in Afghanistan, and what he was trying to do was called counterinsurgency. And what it means is we need to stop killing everyone who we think is a threat, because we're just creating more threats by doing that. So we're going to be nice to people, and then the bad guys aren't going to be mad at us anymore. Like that, it's a 14-page idea, but that's what it boils down to.
For sure.
So when we went over there, it was right in the middle of it. So we were told, like, when we drove around, like, don't hurt anybody, don't run into the cars. Like, if somebody drives up to you, just try and be nice. But also, if they're trying to kill you, shoot them back. So it was just incredibly awkward, where we were nice to so many people right up until the point where, we thought our lives were in danger, and then we fought for our lives.
Right.
So it was an odd environment to be in, and very difficult to train for.
Yeah, I mean, that can't be. It's tough, man. I mean, you're walking up to.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, you could do that with anybody. Anybody could just be, walking on the street and be crazy. But that is you're in enemy territory at that point. And,
I know.
I mean,
I'm wearing full plates of armor on my chest and helmet. I got my 210 rounds of ammunition on my M4, walking around shaking hands with people. So it's like I'm ready to fight, but I'm trying to make friends.
Right.
It's just it was surreal, just trying to go through all of that.
It's like expect the worst, or wait, how does that go? Expect the worst, but prepare for the best, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I'm pretty sure that was
Or
on one of the slides.
is it the
Yeah.
other way around? It's one of the slides.
It's either way. Just be ready.
You got a PowerPoint on this? Wow. Does
Oh
everybody
yeah,
get a
yeah.
PowerPoint
There
before
was
they have to
multiple
leave?
classes. You can be instructor level trained on counterinsurgency. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Coin
Wow.
operations. Yeah.
I'm learning so much today. So much
I know,
learning.
right?
You've told me some pretty good stories, but I mean, I'm sure there's just countless
Yeah.
crazy things that just happened. So, how long were you deployed for? So you left in 2010, which was like early 2010.
We left and we went like we left Nebraska in late June of 2010 and went to Mississippi for 3 months and trained up there. Well, and then like I think 3 weeks of that we went to California for this big training event where you get graded to make sure you're deployable. And then we were in Afghanistan for 9 months. So the whole thing was just like right about a year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's a long time away to be away from home, man.
Oh yeah. And honestly, I would choose Afghanistan over Mississippi. I came closer to death in Mississippi multiple times than I ever did in Afghanistan.
Oh, that's funny. So is there like a was there so did you say you stayed at probably like a fort in Mississippi, and then how do they have it set up in like Afghanistan? Is it just like it's basically just like a big field that you just take over?
In Afghanistan, like it depends how far you are into war, kind of what you're living in. Like when people went over there in 2002, they were living in tents. And now in Iraq, there's like bases that are basically cities. They have swimming pools and theaters, and everything's concrete buildings. It's just the longer we're in a country, the more we set up. So when I got there in 2010, it was fairly well set up. We were in like it's not there anymore. It's called Camp Phoenix, and they had like it was a Canadian-run base, and there was like about I think like 3,000 people on there. So we were on like the north side of Kabul, which is the capital city there in Afghanistan.
Was it so? It was just like one 9 month stretch that you were over there?
Yep. I got like a 2 week leave in the middle of it to come home and hang out, and then went right back. But yeah, 9 months hanging out in Afghanistan.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, think about it now. Like, I know you hate this saying the thank you for your service type of saying. It's something that you and I'm sure a lot of military people do not like.
Yeah.
But if you just put this in perspective, like you did basically, you just picked up and left home for 9 months. I mean, that is a big deal to some people. I mean, put it in perspective for me, where I had absolutely no intentions of going into the military whatsoever. I had no intentions. Didn't even cross my mind for more than 3 seconds. And when I wasn't even thinking about it, you were away for, almost a full year from family. I mean, you're not here.
Yeah.
So I know you don't like it. I'm not going to say it, but I, as well as all of chat, send my appreciation for that. And
I appreciate it.
We can just leave it at that.
I don't mind at all when people say it, because it's always coming from a good place. It's just it's awkward to be thanked for something when they don't know how much or how little you've done. Really.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're over there, having, you're fighting the good war for everybody, right? Right away.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you do everything over there while you're there?
Yeah. When I was over there, I was part of like an infantry group. So, and that was a whole nother ball game. Like when Dave and I, my brother, got that call that we were being transferred, we went from this transportation life, which is pretty low key as far as Army stuff goes. There's not very strict rules, when you're driving trucks around hauling stuff.
Sure.
And we went to infantry and cavalry, which is a little bit more hardcore stuff. So it was a definite wake up call. And I think that's a lot of the reason both of us stayed in is because we got part of the military that we actually liked. We saw that, people were caring about what they were doing and doing a good job. So we decided to stick it out.
So would that be like, are you still like moving things, but you're moving like weapons instead, like weapons and ammo?
We were part of a reconnaissance group. So like our mission, like what we trained for before we, deployed was gathering intel. So like my group, their job would be like if hypothetically we found out some bad guys were hanging out on this mountain and then they were moving weapons around, we would go to the next mountain over, hide out on it, take pictures and record everything to see like what type of weapons and everything they have, and then bring all that information back to our military intelligence dudes so they could decide what to do.
Damn.
So that's our actual job. When we got to Afghanistan, they said, you're going to train the military police how to do their job. And I'm like, well,
okay.
We don't know how to do their job. So they're like, well, figure it out. We're going to give you 3 days. I was like, all right, let's do this.
Did you have a book at least that you were going off of, or
we had a very large book, and it wasn't very good. It was a binder. Yeah.
You didn't get PowerPoint for that one?
No, like
damn.
It was like a 3-year mission, and we came in for the last 9 months of that mission. So the people we took it over from said, "Hey, we didn't do a whole lot because we didn't know what to do either because we're tankers." I was like, "Yeah, we're infantry." I was like, "Yeah, we don't know anything about police." So I was like, "Here's what the group before us gave us. So figure it out." So I'm like, all right, so we trained policemen how to be infantry because that's what we knew.
Well,
so we took them on infantry missions. We just we turned our intel into finding like where Taliban people had drugs out. It's like, well, we'll just get the drugs out of the city since that'll take away their money for funding their operation. So that was our goal when we were over there.
It's a 2 + 2 = win type of thing right there.
Yeah, so that was seems like a simple idea to win a war, but
it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Write that one down on a spreadsheet.
Right, I'll send that one up.
Phoenix does that. Ask in the chat if you have any pen pals still from when you were over there.
Oh, so there's a lot of things that people were doing to help the military, and there were a lot of military members who were 20 to 25-year-old guys who would take advantage of those things. So we would get online and see what like people were doing to help out, and there was some kind of link up site where they were setting up soldiers with pen pals, but it was setting them up with like college-age girls to write military guys. So all these guys signed up for pen pals hoping they would get like a hot girlfriend out of the deal.
Did it work?
And they would, well, no, I don't think there were any love stories that came out of it, but we got some pretty dope care packages from them. So we got a lot of cookies and magazines and stuff. So
there you go. Xbox.
I would call that a victory.
There you go.
That's a win.
So it wasn't necessarily pen pals. It was more like video pals, I guess.
I mean, it was email pals. I mean, I'm not going to write a letter. That just seems like a lot of work. I mean, we still had laptops. It's just really bad internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in school, and this was like, I was probably second or first grade. I did write to somebody, like, the whole class had a person that they were writing to in, I was first grade, second grade, 2001, 2002. So that was probably around the same time when, there were a bunch of soldiers being shipped over. But I remember I was scarred for life because they were like, this is going to take 3 months to get there or something crazy like that. So make sure that you write exactly what you want to, and you put as much information that you want to tell them about. And they sent it off, and I wrote this long letter. His name was Ulysses. I don't even know why I remember that, but I remember it was him. It was a dope name. I was confused by it. Maybe that's why I remember it.
Yeah, right.
So I remember writing this really long worded letter telling him all about me. I wanted asking him questions, knowing all about him. And then 3 months later, letters are starting to come in from other people. Mine didn't show up.
Oh no.
So I was like, okay, well, I'll give it some more time. I'll give it some more time. And then like a few weeks later, everybody's was in but mine. And I was like, oh,
Oh,
it's like either he lost it, it got lost, or he didn't write back, one of the two. So I wrote him another letter. And then
yeah.
right before the school year ended, I got one back from him. So it took that long. Some people had gotten 3, and I got one right at the end. But it was still a really good letter.
Yeah. That's cool.
And it was like a full letter. It wasn't an email.
Yeah.
For some college girls or single moms.
You know, it's hard times, man.
Hard times, that's right.
I did get like class letters too from teachers, like where all the kids would write stuff, and I got some of the goriest crayon pictures you've ever seen in your life sent to me. I don't know why these teachers didn't like scan these before they sent to them, but there was just tanks blowing up people. And it's just the most red crayon you've ever seen in your life, and it was just ridiculous.
Oh man. The imaginative minds of children, am I right?
Yeah, and those are our young adults now. So
yeah, that's right. They're about to be
place in America
running the world. That's right. Definitely had a fun time writing those. I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah,
it's like in what's that movie? That Disney movie? It's Pixar. It's Bug's Life.
Oh, Bug's Life.
They're talking about the warriors killing all the
the
grasshoppers or whatever. It's like, oh, it's so pretty with all the blood stuff.
They had a lot of like army aspects to that movie for a kids movie. They were well organized in their formations and stuff. It was very well done.
Kind of did, and it was a lot of clown stuff around there too, and circus stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe it goes hand in hand. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Oh yeah.
So you're still in the military. You're still in the National Guard.
Yep.
What do you do now? Just drills on the weekend, basically, or?
Yeah. Like, but when in normal America, before all the quarantine stuff happens,
pre-pandemic.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. We do drills once a week or once a month. Ours are a little bit longer. It's not like just a Saturday, Sunday. It's usually like a 4 to 5 day thing. And then we'll do 1 or 2 training events a year, which are usually 3 weeks to a month, or something like that. So.
And sometimes you guys just get called because, correct me if I'm wrong, the National Guard is more to help people if they to help civilians, right?
Yeah, so we're the only branch of the military that's controlled federally and by the state as well. So the president can say, hey, we're going to war, and he can call us up for that. Or Governor Ricketts can say, hey, I need some help with elections, and we get called up for that too. So we do a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Fun fact, James was supposed to be my first guest last week on the podcast. And I announced on the Friday before, at 12:15 that he was going to be my guest. And then you got an email at 2:00 from our Nebraska's Governor, Pete Ricketts, at 2:00, an hour and 45 minutes later, that he was going to have to go help out in Western Nebraska at some of the polling places. So that was incredibly bad timing, but hey,
it
is what it is. You get called to duty, and guess what? Probably helped out a lot of people there. I would assume.
Yeah, it was cool. It was the weirdest military duty I've ever done in my life. I mean, we wore slacks and collared shirts, but it's just whatever. It was basically like community service, but getting paid for it. So it was nice, And they loved having us. We set up all the tables and stuff for them because the people that run those election places, and I don't want to put people in a box, but it's 98% ladies who are over the age of 75. So if they have some younger gentleman setting up a table for them, their life is made. So
they're probably a lot more appreciative of that.
Yeah. So yeah, we had a good time. It was fun.
Yeah. It's good. And it's nice to get out. I mean,
Oh, I know.
I don't know about you. I've left my house like 4 times since
Yeah,
March.
I drove my car 3 hours without stopping. It was amazing.
Windows down.
I didn't even know I could still do that.
Taylor Swift blaring.
Oh, so much Taylor Swift.
All the good stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy fun fact about James. He's the biggest Taylor Swift fan that I personally know. So, I mean, yeah, no, the first, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You like what you like. Nobody judge.
If you're judging, you're wrong. It's your prerogative. So
It's true. Maybe you should just shake it off. Your
there it
judgmental
is.
stuff. Okay, we're done. Enough. We're
Made it
done.
45 minutes before Taylor Swift popped.
Yep, 45 minutes. We made it. We made it. Can we get some cheers? Yeah, there we go. Let's get some cheers for that. It's terrible. Terrible. Oh my goodness. Oh, man, I don't even remember what I was going to talk about next. You want to keep talking about military stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I could do. I think I tried to remember a couple stories before when you were talking about all this stuff.
Yeah. What else you got? What's your funniest deployment story?
Okay, so like I said, our job was to help the police do their job. So they split up the whole city of Kabul there, Kabul. I've heard of both. I honestly don't know how you say it, but they gave us 3 police districts, and 2 of them were in town, and 1 of them was out north of town in like this rural area. So we spent the most of our time out there with them because it was the coolest area, and we could go, shoot guns at the side of a hill or stuff, and nobody cared about it.
Sure.
So and then we would go around because each village out there was like its own little country. Like they have their elders and their own little hierarchy of like how a village works. And there were people there that when we showed up, they hadn't seen a soldier since the Russians were there in the early 1990s, and they didn't know that the Russians were gone. It's
Oh my
just
god.
there's such isolation out there that
Yeah.
they don't care that they're in the country of Afghanistan or not. They're just people from this village. That's their entire life.
So they don't have Twitter there or anything like that?
No.
No
Yeah.
Twitter?
No. They do some places. It's crazy what has internet and what doesn't, but there's a lot of places that don't. So we would hop around all these villages, talk to the elders, like, hey, you guys need anything? We'll just come to hang out, and also if you see any Taliban, give us a ring, and we'll come pick them up for you. So we talked to this one elder, and he's like, you know what? The people before you would bring some items out to us, like clothing and food and stuff. And whenever they would do that, Taliban would show up. And he was like, I have this idea that you guys should bring some stuff out to us, and then you can just arrest the Taliban when they show up. And I'm like, deal. That sounds awesome, because we want to do stuff like that.
It's like bait.
Yeah, so we set up this whole plan where we were going to bring out soup and rice, like literally a ton of soup and rice out to these guys and some blankets. And we were going to deliver it. We were going to drive away into the hills, get out of the trucks, and then crawl up the side of a hill and watch the Taliban come down off this mountain in the night, and then get the stuff, and then we were going to go arrest them. And so we brought this up to like whenever we have a mission idea, we have to get it approved so we can do it. So we took this up to get approved, and it got shot down. I was like, it's too risky. It's like, well, what do we need to do to make it not so risky? I was like, you need to get a drone that can fly over, that can see everything that's going on. So that way, if there's trouble, we'll know about it and we can send help. I'm like, fine. And then like, how do we get a drone? I was like, well, they're super busy right now. Have to check in later. So we were just on standby. So we packed up everything we needed, and we was like, as soon as you tell us, we'll have 24 hours and we'll just do this mission. So we finally got like a week later a call. It's like, hey, we got a drone for you. I was like, all right, cool. So we did it. We got everything ready. And so like my job was to sit in the trucks and wait with the gunners there. And then there was another crew I was going to be in charge of those guys. And then there was another crew that was rolling up the side of the hill, and they were going to be looking out to see if they could see the bad guys come rolling in.
Sure.
So we got all the stuff ready. They rolled up. We dropped off the stuff. We rolled up. We waited the entire night. Stayed up for like 48 hours doing this mission straight. And then we were told if one guy comes down the hill, you cannot arrest him. If three guys come down the hill, you can arrest them. If seven guys come down the hill, that's too many. You need to call that in, and we'll see what would need to happen. So I think if one guy came down the hill, so we just looked at him. He didn't do anything, and then he went back up. So we didn't even know if he was a good guy, bad guy, or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah. So the next morning came, and we were all just dead tired. We had done absolutely nothing but sit there on the side of a hill. Like the village elder, we went to him. Was like, "Hey, what the hell happened?" He's like, "I don't know." I was like, "I think we should try bringing some more stuff tomorrow." I was like, "You son of a bitch! You just wanted us to bring you stuff,
just
assume that the only reason we would do that is if you told us Taliban were going to come."
Yeah.
So.
Hey, to be fair, I mean, depending on how much they needed it, maybe they were desperate. Who knows?
I mean, it helped people out,
Yeah.
but just the way he went about it was
sure.
and I wanted to be mad because he ruined a week of my life. I did so much work getting all of that ready. I was so busy. I was dying that entire week trying to get. I had to go find a guy to get soup from on a military base. There's not a soup guy on a goddamn base. That took literally 2 days to figure out how to get that much soup. So we did nothing. So we just packed it up and went home. So
nice.
We tried so hard, and that was some of the depressing stuff. We tried so hard to help win the war, and there's just days where you can't do it. You just have to try again tomorrow.
Yeah. So tell me how it felt to be the getaway driver.
It was terrifying. I was really hoping that I didn't have to do it, because the plan was we're going on the other side of this hill, and then I'm going to drive up and flank these dudes on the other side so they can't get away. I was like, all right, cool. So we knew the whole area. We looked at the maps. I was like, this is going to be fine. And when we planned this mission, there was still a quarter moon left. So there was going to be some light out, because we were not going to drive with lights because we wanted to sneak around.
Sure.
And then by the time the mission came around, there was no moon out at all. And it was pitch black. And I was like, I'm going to die driving this truck around without just falling in a hole. Like, that's how I'm going to die. No one's going to be able to tell the real story of how I died at war, because it was just falling in a hole.
It was just
I
too
didn't
dark.
know where the hell I was driving. Yeah. So I was very much okay that nobody showed up and we didn't have to do anything at the time, because I was just like, I don't know how we're going to do this.
Yeah, it was probably for the better overall, but yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
That's crazy. So like, let's see here. So if you were there for, you said in about 9 months, what would you say was like the most, like what did you do the most when you're there? Like you mentioned doing inventory and then doing some of these, training of the military police and stuff like that. Would you say that was like your prime job, and that's like what you did like all day, every day?
Yeah, I mean, we got pretty lucky when we were there, because I was part of that infantry group. Like, when you go over there, there's bases that are built so people can run missions out of them. So on that base, 90% of the people that live on that base are there to support the base. Like, all they do is sit on there. Maybe they work a shift where they guard a gate for 8 hours a day, or they work as a mechanic, or they do all these different support roles. So we were actually part of the group that got to go out every day into the city and talk with his police officers and try and help them do their job. So like, my day to day was, I would get up, we would go to our trucks, and we would just, like a 12-man team, roll out to one of these police districts, talk with whoever was in charge of that district, and then we would be back by 5 in the afternoon. So it was the weirdest, 8 to 5 job I ever had, where we would just go get some intel from some people to try and set up some, drug busts and stuff like that. So that was 90% of it. Like, we did missions where we actually tried to, catch people and do all this other stuff, but 90% of it was just going out and trying to set that up. So
Yeah.
that was, when you get in that routine, that wasn't bad. I mean, it was stressful, but as far as everything else, it wasn't terrible.
Just kind of sound like you said, your regular 8 to 5 job.
Yeah, I mean, you have to treat it like that, otherwise you go crazy. So
Sure.
you just go through the same routine.
Let's talk a little bit about, let's shift here a little bit. Let's talk a little about your basketball career.
Yeah.
Let's do that. What position did you play?
I was like a 3 and a 4, so like a small forward and a power forward.
So you're Michael Jordan, is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that. You said that. I'm not going to correct you, but I didn't say it.
You heard it here first. We have the next, well, the former next past Michael Jordan right here on this podcast.
Yeah. Of Western Nebraska.
Western Nebraska. Okay. So did you play in high school? You played then, so obviously.
Yeah.
And how did that recruiting process go? Like, were you on varsity all, was it 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, I was on varsity all 4 years.
Okay.
I started like the last 3 years, and I was, it was a Class D school. There's A, B, C, and D, so it's a low school. There was like 600 people in my town, so I would have to have been incredibly good to get noticed by any big college. So
Right.
I was a decent sized fish in a very small pond at that time.
Sure.
In my life. So I got offers to go to schools like Doane and Shadron and like UNK and things like that. So like D3 to NAI type of schools.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to McCook Community College because he was the only one that was mean to me during my visit. And I was like, this is what I want. He said, I don't think you have a very good jump shot. I think you need to shoot 10,000 shots up a day. And I'm not going to give you a scholarship, but you can walk on. I was like, this is the coach I want to play for. So that's where I decided to go.
That's wow. That's an interesting decision to make, when you're that young, feeding off of the negativity, so to speak.
Right.
Which kind of transitions into what I wanted to talk about, was like basically the whole I'm just going to use one word, and it's motivation. And that picture perfect brings into what I want to talk about. Some people could have taken that as, well, that guy's a dick, I don't want to go play for him. Why would I play for him? He's being an asshole to me. I'm gonna go play for somewhere else. And for those who don't know, Doane is in Crete, right? It's pretty close to Crete.
Yep.
Which is pretty close to Lincoln, Nebraska, which is one of the 2 bigger cities I was talking about earlier in Nebraska. So I mean, you could have been 15 minutes away from UNL Party Central.
I know. Oh yeah, there was a lot of I guess you can call them fringe benefits.
Sure.
Going to a different school other than McCook, Nebraska. So yeah, that's the sole reason. The sole thing I was thinking about in my decision was, what place am I going to get best at basketball at? Like, what has the most potential for me? And so that was where I chose to go.
So you're playing your first year in McCook. And so that you said you transferred your sophomore year, your second year.
Yep.
So was that a choice on your part, or was that something where did you move up when you transferred, or was it more like a lateral?
It was a higher level of competition at Grace than it was where I was my freshman year. So I wanted to do that. And it was also in Omaha, which was better for me as well. So yeah, so that was another step up for me. So that was my thinking as well.
So the kind of thought process was maybe go somewhere else as like a JUCO, basically.
Yeah, so yeah, that's
like
what McCook was. I was just kind of like a JUCO, and then Grace was the actual 4-year university. So
gotcha. Do they make it to the NCAA tournament? They make it to March Madness? Okay. I was just curious.
It actually doesn't even exist anymore. It's not even a college.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. So
I was wondering why I hadn't heard of it, but
that's probably part of it. Yeah.
So that probably is one piece to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, gosh, I want to keep bringing it back to The Last Dance and Michael Jordan, but I don't want to. I've already compared you twice to him now, so I don't want to. Yeah, like Michael Jordan of Rocket League, that's for sure. Talk about
Hey,
that.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Take any MJs that you can, right?
Mm-hmm.
They so you're and this is something that's kind of talked about, and I guess this is kind of bringing it home from what we initially talked about was the Michael Jordan documentary that's currently out right now. It just got over actually, Last Dance,
Mm-hmm.
where he's talking about how his teammates hated him, but his teammates
Yeah.
hated him because he pushed them hard
Right.
and was maybe an asshole about it sometimes, but he still pushed them. And I mean, look where he was, right?
Yep.
Would you say that was prominent in you as well when you were making decisions on how you would practice with your teammates?
Um. Yes and no. I mean, I don't have the same mindset that he does. I tried, like, I would read some of he written a couple of books about like how he prepares. I used to read them over and over again about like he would go through like all this visualization stuff, and he was deep into like meditation and
Yeah.
just all these things. And it's just not the way that my brain would work, and it would just make me so angry because I was like, if I can emulate that, then I can be that. So that I tried, but it wasn't the way my brain works. So I I wasn't a killer in practice. I fought just as hard as everyone, and it was a lot of those college practices are they're battles. Like you go after each other because you're on the same team, but especially in like a junior college, we all knew it was a stepping stone. So we're all fighting to get that playing time
Yeah.
and prove that you're better than the next guy. And so there were some real battles
Yeah,
in
you're
those
fighting for your
days.
spot.
Yeah, definitely.
And some people and that's kind of the crazy thing is how you were a 3-year starter all years on varsity in high school. So
Hmm.
you were just, there, yeah, this is my team, or I know that I'm going to be the guy here. I know I'm going to be
Yeah,
here to try and help, and then you get to that next level and everybody's equal playing field now.
yeah,
And you have to
yeah.
work for it again. You have to work for
I know.
it.
Yeah, you're all the stars of where you came from, and you got to learn that you're not that anymore.
Yep. It's like a whole gut check, reality check, I would
Yeah,
assume.
I think I got dunked on like my second day in practice. It was it's just I was like, okay, so this is a new world. So
that's that's the that's the stepping stone right there.
let's try and learn from that.
Yeah. It's like it's kind of like falling. Like if you ever trip and like fall and nobody's there to watch or anything, it kind of
Right?
humbles you a little bit.
It really does. Yeah, I still like I've been dunked on twice in my life. I can picture both of them vividly. It's just sometimes I see them when I wake up in the mornings too. It's just it'll never leave you.
Buckets wakes up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it's like it was a charge.
My feet were planted. I wasn't cowering, I swear. Can't prove it. You
Nope,
can't prove
nope,
it.
can't prove it.
All right. Well, we're a little bit over an hour here, so let's wrap this thing up.
Yeah, man.
Where are you? Let everybody know where they can follow you on, or what you are representing.
Oh my God. I
Get
honestly don't even know
Give
my
them your
Instagram, but
OnlyFans.
I haven't posted anything in a while. You can see me on Facebook, James Halstead, and find me on Rocket League, SSGBuckets 25.
There you
I'm there
go.
for you.
There you go. Is there a is there a it's not like a military thing or something like that where you can there's not like a military social media or anything like that?
You know what? If you want to join the military, well, get me on Facebook. And if you join, I get a free shirt out of it. So I will hook you up.
Well, there it is right there. There it is right there. That's the whole purpose right there.
There
Get
you go.
Buckets a t-shirt. Let's do it. Let's do it. I would just
Let's
like
do
to
it.
say as well that we got a raid that just came in from Amon Green TV himself.
Hey, that's
That's
awesome, dude.
that's insane. That's insane. Amon and all your chat. What's up? How's it going? Welcome in.
What's
Welcome
up,
in.
guys?
Hope you
That's
guys
awesome, dude.
had a good stream. We'll talk a little bit more. We're doing a podcast right now, so I'm going to shut it down. But I'm going to come back to you guys, and I'm coming to talk to you guys for a little bit. Buckets, if you want to stay on, we can get a little bit, talk a little bit too as well. So I'm going to shut this down, but I appreciate you guys hanging out. My name's TaterBoy09. Stream live here on Twitch. Make sure you follow the channel. I do put this podcast on my YouTube as well, which I just found out that 100 subscribers on YouTube will get you your own personal, what is it? It's a URL, so it can be like youtube.com/TaterBoy09. So let's get that to 100. I think we're about at 20 right now. So if you want to do !YT in the chat, please get that out there. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram. I just got an Instagram. It's brand new. I don't know what to do with it yet, but that's where we're at. So what else am I on? Twitter, Instagram. Those are the big ones. Follow me there. I'm on Facebook at Tater Talks the podcast. So make sure you follow that there as well. We're almost at 100 people there. So I am going to be signing off, but I appreciate you guys hanging out, and we'll be back here in just about 5-10 minutes or so. Thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate you.